Hi everybody. I'm going to talk to you a little bit about shotgun fit again. I guess more about shotgun fit. So what I have in my hands here is a W&C Scott. Bought from a guy in Virginia. This gun is really high in the comb here, which is what I like. So you took a straight line from the rib, straight back. This gun has 2.5 inches of drop. Now, guns will vary between 2 inches of drop and 3 1/4. Some of the old guns especially will drop quite a bit. Typically, a gun that has a lot of drop, you don't have to worry about needing to have cast right or left. Now, because I'm left eye dominant, I shoot this way, so I need a stock that's cast on, which if you look down my rib, you need a stock that veers off just a little bit to the right. This gun doesn't have much cast on, so I bought it from a guy in Virginia and he told me it was no cast, which is okay, that's straight. But turned out when I got my hands on it, it had some cast off, which would be for right-handed, so it was actually about 1/8 of an inch the wrong way for me. So I watched some videos on stock bending, and I've bent 2 or 3 stocks now. This is one of them I bent, and this one stayed pretty good. I did an AYA number 4, and it was a lot lower grade wood, and lower grade wood is harder to bend for sure. You get this really nice grade wood where you got a lot of tiger stripe and a lot of figure, and I've got a really long Prince of Wales pistol grip here. That's definitely helpful in bending stocks. And I'm gonna make a better video of stock bending. I made one the first round of stock bending I did, and it was pretty crude. The second one will be crude too, but not as crude. But if you think about it, why do I like side by side? So if you look in my cabinet there, those are some of the guns. I'm a dealer for side by sides, and so ejectors work. Those are my cut-off cartridges that I use for snap caps. Why do I like side by sides? Because they're traditional. There's a romance and a beauty in a side by side that you are not going to find in any other shotgun. When God made us, He made our eyes like this. He didn't make them up and down. So it makes sense to me, even if it don't to you. I'm not a fan of pumps and automatics just because I grew up shooting those. Once I got my first side by side, I was hooked, and that was when I was like 20 years old. I haven't had anything else since then. I've owned some others and bought and sold some, especially over-unders, but yeah, it's going to be all side by sides for me. But if you think about it, so one of the things I noticed when I was shooting is a lot of times I was really deadly with my front trigger. So that makes sense. When you look down your gun, if your stock doesn't come over quite far enough, and you're looking, you can't get down behind the rib, then you're going to be looking down the first barrel. So this barrel, of course, it's going to be deadly. You're shooting by instinct, so you're looking down. You're not looking down the middle of your gun. You're looking down this barrel because the stock is pushing your face away. So that's why a lot of people that don't have a gun that fit them might be really deadly with one trigger and always miss with the second trigger. So that's one way to tell if you can't get down behind your gun well. I think when a gun has a pretty flat, pretty high comb like this, they need to be cast off if you're right-handed, on if you're left-handed. So I was sort of tired of buying guns that were supposedly no cast, and then I'd get a hold of them, get them home, realize there was some cast. Wrong way for me. 90% of English guns are cast off, and so most American-made guns were straight, most of them. A lot of Italian guns and Spanish guns are cast off. hard to find guns cast on. So I finally decided I had to get set up to actually make some, bend the stocks and make them fit for me. If I got a gun that I'm planning to turn around and resell quick, I don't mess with it. But if I'm planning to shoot it for a year or two, then I'm gonna bend the stock, at least get it straight. Another thing to think about too is as we get older, we get a little bit more barrel chested. Even though I have pretty long arms, I don't need a real long length of pull because I'm a little bit barrel chested, so my gun tends to fit me nice. If it's, for me, a 14 1/4 is a good length. And then your neck gets stiff. You can't get down behind your gun quite as nicely. So, and then just a reminder, side-by-sides are never intended to shoot big heavy loads. I'm not saying there's not some of the Spanish guns are big and thick in here, but if you look at the way the grace of this gun, the slenderness of this, and they're made to shoot light loads, field loads. They're made to hunt with. And if you're wanting to go out and bash a bunch of clays, go through 5 or 6 boxes or 10 boxes in an afternoon, go buy yourself an over-under. Don't abuse one of these that way. These are made for game guns. And you can practice with a pump or an automatic, and I guarantee you, if you're a good shot with a pump or an automatic, you pick this up, it's going to feel natural. You're gonna hit birds with it if it fits you. So those are some of the reasons that a side-by-side has to fit a little better than it's not as universal as a pump or an automatic or a over-under that is oftentimes comes from the factory straight. Most guys shoot them that way. A lot of guys shoot them really well that way. Because a side-by-side, it's necessary for it to come up naturally. You should never have to really look at your gun. That bead on the end is just a waste, but I like the way it looks. But I don't need it on there, because I'm not going to look at this gun anyways. When I go to shoot a bird, I'm going to just look at the bird, because I already know my gun fits me. Where I look, it's going to shoot. And that's the whole idea of that. One more thing on this gun that I really like. So it's got the Anson and Dealey style 4-end tip. There's a button there, that's how you break it down. It's got ejectors. And it's got, for an old gun that's 100 years old, it's got really nice wood. Look at that tiger stripe. But the box lock part is completely plain, not a bit of engraving anywhere, and that really appeals to me. I like that. One more thing I'd like to show you yet on gun fit is if you have a gun that is not cast for you. So this is the Ansley Fox Sterling Worth 16 gauge. It's pretty high in the comb here, so as you can see, it's going to have some bend in the stock for it to work for me. So at the time I got this gun, I wasn't bending stocks yet, so I didn't really know how to bend stocks. So I sanded a pocket in my stock here, and I put the recoil pad on. I sanded a pocket here, which gives my face a place to go when I shoot it. Now, before you recoil in horror, I want to tell you a story. Back at 40 years ago, when Gundog magazine first came out, George Bird Evans had an article in there every month, and he was shooting at the time a nice James Purdy old gun that somebody had handed down to him. And as he got older, and his face got a little fuller, and his your necks get stiffer. Oftentimes old guys need their stock bent a little bit. They need a little more cast. Well, you know, in West Virginia where he lived, there wasn't probably anybody that knew how to bend stocks, and so he did this. He sanded a pocket in the stock, and he kept working at it, and he took us through the whole process with his articles. Every month he'd tell us more about what he was doing. And I remember one old guy just really went off in the comments about some old man hacking away at a $20,000 shotgun. Well, it was a $20,000 shotgun, but he wasn't hacking away at it. And I think George, even though it was a James Purdy heirloom gun, he realized that it's worthless if it won't hit where you look. And so for him, he was a grouse hunter, rough grouse, and it's absolutely necessary when you're hunting rough grouse. A gun has to shoot where you look. You don't have time to aim at a rough grouse. You just put your gun up and shoot, and it's got to shoot where you're looking. He understood that, and he did a nice job. I respected him for what he did. But yeah, it was interesting the blowback he got from that. So I know some of you guys are gonna recoil in horror at that pocket there, but hey, just remember, this gun shoots where I look. And before you judge me, think about it.